champions. There are knights on noble steeds, those who will bring them to their knees. There are monsters to test their mettle at every turn. Legends will rise based on their merits. There's even pirates riding parrots. It's the grand tournament.
Welcome back, everyone, to the StarLadder series Hearthstone Land Finals Season 1. Now I'm back from the quick break that I took. I don't think you suffered too much. I think everything went very well, casting with the orange, so...
Yeah, Orange, it was a pleasure casting with him. Good analytical mind, which I could tap into.
It's also good, once in a while getting an actual pro player on the casting bench, where you just, can give you insight maybe that, you might not get necessarily from a caster who doesn't have the same, analysis power, I guess. So next match is the last match of the day between Kolento and StanCifka, and it's a very important match for both of these players.
Yeah, this is a big one, not only because it's a clash of two strong players, especially StanCifka, who's been on form, but if Kolento loses this game, he is out.
Yeah, technically, StanCifka, if he wins, I think he's guaranteed to go through to Sunday, as you told me, which means that with 3 matches won today, with 5 matches played total, he'll have an above-average win rate of 60% at the very least. And if Kolento loses, then he's going to be in the bottom, half, and as a result of that, I don't think there's any way for him to climb back up, I don't think, unless maybe there's a tie happening between, 4th and 5th. There's a possibility.
Yeah, it's a bit strong me saying out, but it's very hard for him to come back. Getting a win now is super important because he doesn't want to go in tomorrow with a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and relying on other players losing is not a good way to go into a round robin,
it's good if you rely on your opponents losing, but other players losing for you to actually propel you forward doesn't really make all that much sense.
So maybe out was a bit strong, I apologize, but very close.
Yeah, you're actually pretty close to out. For all intents and purposes, we'd consider him in a really bad spot. So that being said, before we move on, I think we're going to have a video of both players, giving us some more of their thoughts. They've already done quite a bit of that, but they're going to do a little bit more of it. So we'll be right back.
Всегда должен быть один комментатор, который знает об игре очень много, и один, который более общается с аудиторией, задает вопросы. Ну вот первую роль я мог бы занять легко, потому что об игре я знаю много. Говорить не очень люблю, это да, но говорить о игре могу долго и с толком. Да, тренировал людей, говорят, помогает, иногда ничего не говорят. Конкретно сказать не могу, но хочется верить, что помогает. Ошибки все делают, иногда такие базовые. Например, когда нужно с миньонами торговаться, когда нужно носить урон по врагу, по противнику, когда нужно сохранить заклинание, или когда нужно его сыграть и не жадничать. Иногда просто забывают о том, что секрет активный есть. Да много чего глупого бывает. Надо все в голове держать. Считать урон, подготавливать ход, узнавать о том, что противник не имеет чего-то, и не играть из расчета на то, что он будет иметь эту карту, которую ты уже знаешь, у него не было. Многие ошибки бывают. Hearthstone комьюнити очень дружелюбно. Я думаю, это потому, что, чтобы быть хорошим игроком в Hearthstone, очень важно иметь способность отличать хорошего от плохого. Все игроки дружелюбные, и приятно с ними вести речь. Так, чтобы назвать кого-то другом. На русском языке друг значит больше, чем на английском friend. Я бы не сказал, что есть такое. Говорят, что друг бывает только один за всю жизнь. Не думаю. Не нашел еще.
Kolento starts by dropping the knowledge bombs on us, and then he fires shots, and then feels badman.jpg. That's how I feel right now.
That was some deep stuff at the end about friendship and not finding it.
I don't know, man. Is this Hearthstone anymore? He looks like he could use a friend right now.
Yeah, Kolento, next level right there. And no, Kolento says he doesn't like talking. He doesn't talk much. He can be quite reserved. But he's a funny guy. Some of the trolls he's pulled on Dog the other day was pretty hilarious.
Yeah. I just wonder, though, if he will ever find his friend in the Hearthstone scene, or if he will have to, wait to go beyond it.
Maybe there's a Kolento out there for him to be friends with. But, you know, his opponent, StanCifka, we've talked a lot about him. He's been on fire this tournament. He's been doing way too well. Considering the lineup of players that are stacked in the event so far, he's gone 3-0 for the first match against his first opponent, Thijs, if I'm not mistaken. Was that the first match that he ended up playing against? 3-2, sorry. First. Cypher first, and then he ended up beating his opponent, Dog 3-0. 3-1, that 3-1, yeah. So they were 3-1 and a 3-0, which means he's effectively 6 wins, 1 loss. And if he ends up going with a positive win rate against Kolento and taking the series, he's just going to have a guaranteed spot on Sunday, which means he's going to the top 4 without even having to fight anymore. So definitely something he's happy about. StanCifka's expressed how he likes to have fun, he likes socialize and hang out. Right. So this will take a lot of weight off his shoulders for tomorrow, and he maybe can have some fun tonight and just relax. But StanCifka probably has a lot to say about all sorts of things, so we'll let him talk about it.
Very smooth.
I practice a lot with my friends from MTG environment, because in Magic the Gathering there are a lot of very smart people who are trying to improve in the card games, so I brought a lot of them into Hearthstone and they're helping me to prepare. And I also practice a lot with other good players, like mostly with G2 members, Thijs and Life Coach, because they have very good analytic approach and we are helping each other a lot. So that's my main resources of preparation. But honestly, most of work you have to do yourself. You have to practice a lot on a ladder, on, you know, against like each other players, because no one can do the dirty work for you. You have to like really work hard every day in order to improve yourself. And like I think everyone here knows it, and like there's nothing someone else can do for you. They can obviously help you, but most of the part is on your hard work. We are meeting each other on very regular basis. Like there are plenty of events like Via Game House Cup, StarLadder is it's now a usual event, like there's Seed Story, there are DreamHack. So we are meeting each other very often, but we are very good friends and I'm always looking forward to seeing them, talking with them, like, and partying with them as well. So some of them are very, very good friends, and especially I'm very good friend with Thijs, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him here. What I like about Hearthstone is the Hearthstone pro player community, because actually the reason why I moved to Hearthstone was that in 2014 I visited DreamHack in Romania, and I was no one at that point. Like I was quite known MTG player, but no one has a clue who I am in the community. And I went to Bucharest and everyone was so friendly, it was so unexpected, and it was so nice that I thought to myself, oh, I need to play this game because I would like to meet these guys very often, like, and these guys could be my very good friends. I met Thijs, I met Life Coach over there, also I've met Skip, and we are very good friends since then, and I'm always looking forward to see these players at the events. So I really love the Hearthstone community, and I think we don't look at each other as a concurrents or rivals, but as a friends, and we can learn a lot from each other. So they are really interesting personalities, and I would say I have a lot of good friends in Hearthstone area. If someone is so good in analytical thinking, in preparation, why wouldn't he be like the best player in the world in that case? And the only answer is because he's not able to handle the stress at the tournaments. And it's very rare actually, because I don't know anyone who is very good in understanding the game, but he doesn't have results himself. And it's completely different in the other games. I can see that in Dota or in League of Legends or even in Counter-Strike, someone could have very good analytical approach and knows perfectly what to do, what to pick, or what to ban, and what to do in general, while he's, for example, not fast enough to execute it himself. So he could be very good coach in these games, while I don't know any personality like this in Hearthstone, and I simply think if someone would be that great, he would play himself and be the best in the world. So I don't see future of coaches in Hearthstone. At the moment, I see myself as a player, like 100%. And it could obviously change after some time. I could maybe get bored by the game or whatever. But at the moment, I see myself purely as a player because I'm still fascinated by the game, and I'm also not that, like, you know, talkative person or whatever, entertaining. I can obviously work in this area and improve myself, but I still, by heart, I'm still gonna be the player and not, you know, celebrity or whatever, how you want to call it. So I don't see my future as a caster or whatever, but who knows?
That's a lot of talk about friendship from both of these guys. StanCifka just saying, you know, I think the best thing about Hearthstone is the community, and he's not wrong, I'd say.
I totally agree. The atmosphere from all the players. I mean, I've only recently come into the scene, especially the competitive scene as a caster, and I've got to meet a lot of pros, and they've been so like friendly and welcoming. I haven't felt just like a guy in the shadows. They've let me involve myself in conversations with them, and it's really nice.
They'll
really
hug you like just casually out of nowhere. Like, why are you coming up to me? It's just a thing, right?
Yeah, just walking down the corridor.
You're getting mobbed by all the Hearthstone pros want to hug you. That's exactly what happens. Yeah, I really like the overall, I think I agree with his points. The whole thing about coaching, I don't know. I feel like coaching does work for some people. I know some people have paid for coaching. Of course, we see that from some of the top players who offer it, and it's worked for some of them. Like, they actually got to improve. But there's so much in Hearthstone to cover that I think maybe there's a lot more to do on your own, maybe than rely on someone else to just teach you everything.
I mean, from a professional coaching perspective, I don't know if he meant that at all, but Orange said in a previous game that Purple was very influential in his progression as a player.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show, like...
Yeah, Purple is a guy, I think, who's influenced a lot of the top players' careers from the North American scene. You know, there's a small group of players, and they've been, helping each other out for a while now.
So it looks like Kolento has had his Hunter banned, which is something StanCifka did in his previous 2 games. So he's keeping with his game plan here, and Kolento is banning that mage. I don't think he wants to see a repeat of the Cypher game where 80 health up and still lose.
Nobody's prepared to face off against that freeze mage from StanCifka. And the thing is, if they're not prepared to face that, are they prepared to face the rest? Because StanCifka is willing to take on Patron. He is fully ready. He said he can tech his decks to make them work. He did amazingly well against Cypher, winning 2 games against Patron Warrior, something that you don't see very frequently. So we'll see if he can pull it off against one of the best, Kolento.
And Kolento's Patron is about to be unleashed here. This is going to be his first game where he can pilot this deck. A deck I imagine he's invested incredible amount of time in. A lot of pros have, because it was got to a point where you should just bring Patron because it's the best deck. Like, why wouldn't you bring it?
Yeah, but you can't bring it if you're not good at it, which made it so the time investment you had to just give that one deck was tremendous. And as a result of that, some people have complained, with BlizzCon being so near, I think it kind of sucks that all my experience goes away. But as far as the general health of the game is concerned, I think that's definitely something positive.
Yeah, there's room for adaptation.
Yeah,
especially in the future.
The best players should be able, anyway, to adapt to the metagame. If everybody's in the same boat, right, and they all have to deal with the same change, it's an equal playing field, basically.
So Control Warrior going into Patron here. Control Warrior can have a pretty good time against Patron. Double Brawl is definitely something helpful, especially if it lines up some of the early removal and stops the kind of the card draw engine of the Patron. Hey, have you encountered this a lot?
This matchup? I think Control Warrior is generally thought of as one of a few counters to Patron. If you look at Patron Warrior, if you think about its direct counters, you would have Handlock, Druid, and probably on 3rd place would be Control Warrior. So if StanCifka's intent was to do just a targeting of Patron, he did a good job. And his Freeze Mage was also particularly good just because of the Sludge Belchers, the duplicates. It really worked out nicely. And if it happened to be Control Warrior, even that Freeze Mage with the duplicate would still work.
Yeah, for sure. And StanCifka, although Kolento really hasn't had a fast start here. He does get Coin Death Spite, but he just armored up, so it gives StanCifka some time to kind of build up on his resources.
I'll see what Kolento opts to do here. Playing it slowly can often be just the best way to do it. You can play Acolyte of Pain, set up some card draw. You give some to your opponent, but it's exponentially more important for you to get it in a matchup like this one, where you're trying to pull off a combo. There's really no reason to coin out a Death Bite this early. You can play it on curve and be just good enough.
You could just shield block here, I guess, the cycle instead. I mean, what he can
potentially
potentially
Acolyte,
do.
it's fine. It's all right.
Something you could potentially do in the future. If you look at his hand, he's got Inner Rage, he's got Whirlwind, Death Spite, and a coin. So that could set up a massive Patron board, but Brawl is going to be on his mind, so it's another thing he has to consider if he decides to go for kind of that kind of a strong board play.
It makes a lot of sense to just try. Like, you do one wave of Patrons. If they stick, then all the better. You don't expect them to, but if they do, then that's amazing.
Cruel Taskmaster is going to be able to hit this Acolyte if he chooses to get the card draw there.
Is there a reason not to?
I don't think there is, really.
Maybe if you really want to extract maximum Brawl value and you want to, bait your opponent into overextending, maybe. But even then, cycling is worth a lot.
And the more minions he develops now, if Kolento does go for a Patron turn coming up, at least he'll have minions he can potentially respond with and keep hold of the Brawl.
Yeah.
So that's another thing you can consider.
Kolento is looking at his Death Bite. It must look somewhat appealing, but
is there anything else he could do which is better?
I mean, he could set up a really crazy Patron turn, as we talked about just last turn. The big weakness, I guess, of the Brawl in that situation is that if even one Patron lives, just one, and it's got enough health that a single wave of AoE can take care of, like replicating it even further, it's going to get really bad for the Warrior.
So the Execute comes down on the Acolyte of Pain, not only to stop the card engine, to stop the Acolyte being able to trade into a free if he does go for the Patron turn.
Yeah, I mean, it will slow down his ability to play Whirlwind, immediately, if he wants to just populate the board with Patron, but he might also opt to wait a little bit longer. We'll have to see what he does. I mean, the Belcher here looks like a no-go, just because of the fact that the Death Spite will take care of the body. So StanCifka's not too happy about playing that. He might just play it a bit passively. We'll see where it goes. It doesn't seem to me like StanCifka's going to have to overextend until he's already played his Brawl and taken care of at least a good wave of minions.
Yeah, I definitely like him being a bit more patient here. Because of the Brawl, it's ready. If a Patron board does come down, he does have an answer. We haven't seen the second Brawl, which you said you've seen him play in the past. So that's still a big question mark for us as casters, but also for the other players. He knows, but no one else does.
I mean, there's a good reason not to play. I mean, with double BGH, it becomes a little bit more difficult, I'm guessing, right? Because he is playing two big game hunters with the Cruel Taskmasters, and he's always hoping to find a target here and there in just about every single deck. So far, I think it's worked out.
Yeah, it's been really effective. I mean, we haven't even seen the true potential of it yet, hitting like Doomguard.
This isn't even my final form!
Yeah, this is just like the first boss form. Alright, so here we go. We're talking about these patrons. Let's see what can happen.
So we will have 4 patrons, one of which, if it lives, is not an issue. StanCifka, however, if he goes for Brawl play here, is going to have to execute. He's going to hope that one of the ones that live, if he goes for Brawl, is going to be a damaged one so that Execute can be played. Otherwise, there might be an argument for a Belcher, and then you fill out the board even more, and maybe Brawl is more appealing. The more damaged patrons on the board, the better off you are. I just don't know when the exact time for pulling the trigger would be.
I think Brawl has to come down. If he did play the Belcher, the 5-1 trades into it nicely, but not only that,
the 3-2,
he gets more patrons, but he also enables a big Battle Rage potentially coming
up. The perfect outcome for StanCifka.
All right,
I would have almost considered letting that live, but I've got no counterplay immediately. So, because at 1 health it can't replicate, so that's definitely not the biggest threat as far as patrons on the board.
There was a 2-card Battle Rage he may have considered trying to reduce.
No, that's right.
So, I mean, Battle Rage...
That's a great point, actually, definitely.
I mean, that's another thing you need to consider with kind of anything damaged on their side of the field. Do you really want to give him more cards, more ways to fish for another patron? We want to slow him down as much as possible, especially after the first patron board has been dealt with.
Yeah, no, StanCifka's basically thinking to himself, I'm either going to die to the second wave of patrons, or I'm not going to die. Brawling Berserker would have to be comboed with a tremendous amount of Whirlwind effect. It's going to take a very specific setup for that to happen, and card draw is an integral part of getting there. So definitely the Execute makes a lot of sense.
So Dr. Boom may have seemed obvious, but I do prefer Death Spite because you limit the amount of card draw. If you played Dr. Boom, he could have just ran the Acolyte into a Boombot, and then he got 1 draw, then if the Boombot hit that again, he got another draw, and
he was guaranteed like 3 draws total from a single Acolyte of Pain.
And then Battle Rage comes out, and you're just like, nah, this is too much card draw, you need to slow him down.
Kolento does have the double Frothing, double Whirlwind. All he needs now is a Warsong Commander and a little bit of a filled-up board to make those Frothing Berserkers count.
Yeah, for sure. He just needs to wait now. He kind of needs to just draw more cards, maybe find a Forsen, slam the Forsen down, get the reduced cost, and then just go for one big swing turn where he can just take him out.
Yeah. Emperor Forsen sounds good.
Emperor Forsen sounds brilliant. And there's still another Patron, He's still got an option to kind of go for another Patron turn. It's with Warsong Commander. And one brawl's gone, so I don't know how much easier it's going to be for StanCifka to deal with that.
Yeah.
But that's the future. Let's for now, things are a bit strange.
It looks a bit strange for Kolento. I mean, he has the option of going for the Fiery War Axe to kill the 4-2. Does he want to take the damage? Of course, that depends on what he thinks he's going to be drawing into. Do you Battle Rage for a single card? Is that ever worth it? I would consider it if my hand is dry, as dry as this one. But with a Whirlwind, surely you can extract a little bit more value out of the Battle Rage.
It seems like he just probably going to armor up here, try and get StanCifka to run his Deathbite into the 2-2.
It's a very low value Deathbite.
Slam.
StanCifka with the Grom Hellscream.
I like Grom.
Yeah, I like it too.
So now he's
No
putting a lot of
execute.
pressure.
No execute is going to make Kolento's day a little bit more difficult.
And we've seen this kind of style of play from StanCifka in his previous games, where there was a point against Dog where he stopped being defensive and just said, you know what, deal with my threats now.
Yeah,
And
there's a point where you absolutely have to turn the tides.
And it's definitely working out for him. No execute here. Might force a Battle Rage. Might force two even.
Oh man, that is like drawing one card out of Battle Rage just because you want the execute. Would you ever consider going for like Ghoul Whirlwind Battle Rage? Oh man, Kolento's got even bigger plans than this. He's going in, and to hell with your logic. If you can't kill that Ghoul, you're in for a lot of trouble, StanCifka, is what Kolento's saying, because now the Battle Rages will draw a tremendous amount of cards.
Alright, so how does... Let's have a look if
Dr. Boom, and attack the Ghoul. Let the Boom Bots do what they do.
You know, that could be an option.
It looks like one to me. With a Slime, I think you can kill at least one Frothing.
Yeah, for sure.
It looks fine.
Slam first on the Frothing. Just see where that goes. You might find something a little bit better. Maybe
a weapon even.
A weapon even? I think Slam first might not be bad. And then Dr. Boom.
No, he's doing it. Oh, this is amazing.
I like this.
All right, let's see where the Boom Bots go. And they go. Well, they're taking their time because Frothings are really, really patient people. Wow, really? Frothings? They're going to make this anticlimactic. Oh, one goes down, and the other doesn't. Uh-oh. That one lives. But
36 health.
It's not a big deal, right? Battle Raging for 2 cards now.
So you can get 4 cards off the Battle Rage.
Possibly more if he finds another minion to play in Whirlwind.
No execute so far.
On paper, this looks like a good Patron play. Like you go Patron, Whirlwind, and then you attack into the Grom with your 11-3.
Yeah,
it's not to die,
right.
but it's clunky.
It is, but the thing that Kolento needs to consider is, StanCifka's still got a lot of health. He's got 2 big bodies. He could fish for Whirlwinds. He could fish for Executes, but if he doesn't find them, he can't do the Patron turn then and put pressure. So he's got to weigh up what's more important, I think.
Yeah. Do you go all in on the draw and hope that you find the Executes, or do you play the Patrons and assume they're going to live, which I think is a realistic assumption. At this stage, you've seen a brawl. It's realistic to assume that at least 2 Patrons will live, and maybe from there you can pilot the win, the deck to the victory.
This is kind of all in, though. Both Frothings, both Patrons gone, so there's nothing else. If these Patrons get dealt with, this could be the end of Kolento's Patron.
All right, everyone's getting in here for the very last time, and StanCifka is going to have to find answers. He does have some, at the very least. With the Slime, he can kill one. He can then kill one of the healthy guys. Oh, wow. That will make sure to deny Kolento any chance of getting more of those Patrons. And with no Frothings and no Patrons left, looks like the end.
So we can, so the Slam 1, trade, Fiery War Axe, Belcher. What are you going to do?
That is it. And StanCifka is going to win what we already knew to be a favorable matchup. But sometimes, you know, Patron does what it does, and you can't really stop it.
Yep.
Kolento now.
Kolento might just keep fighting on just to get some more information from StanCifka here.
Yeah?
I think so. I mean,
it's a Kolento thing to do.
I think it's worth it, especially in Kolento's shoes, where winning this series is pretty important.
Kolento is looking at this. I mean, he knows deep down that if he goes Warsong Commander Unstable Ghoul, he can wipe the board, certainly. Like, the 1-2 slime is not going to be a problem. You can always kill it with the War Axe. But then, what is your win condition?
Forsen, on his own, punching through 30 health.
6 mana, 5/5. That sounds absolutely fantastic.
There we go. So he does get the board clear.
I mean, on the upside, I guess Thorsten will at least be able to reduce the cost of Inner Rage down to -1.
-1. I think you actually gain mana if you play a -1 card.
Yeah, infinite mana actually.
But there's Jessica Trueheart. Oh, and there's Harrison Jones. Even he can reduce damage through getting rid of the weapon, or he can just reduce damage by armoring up. Justica, armor up. There's not enough damage in Kolento's deck to tank through the hero power right now.
StanCifka will be armoring up. Kolento is, I think, playing the information game, but StanCifka is knowledgeable enough about the value of information. You know, he did it himself, I think, playing for information in the past, so he knows that revealing anything is just a mistake.
He's still going to try and force StanCifka to just play cards and hopefully write down some stuff or memorize some things he hasn't seen in previous games, or things
that he hasn't been able to scout.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you can't really scout a tank up. There's not much to scout there.
Unless StanCifka just be really stubborn to just hero powers for the rest of the game.
Every single until fatigue hits, so he can note down every single card. Yeah.
I mean, he could potentially do that, I think, at this point. Just keep pressing hero power.
And he will win. It's a matter of time.
And he can reveal, like, Shield Maidens and Baron. Like, if he has Ysera in his deck, he can always just keep that in his hand. He doesn't need to play it. Harrison is something we haven't seen either, so he can keep that in his hand, too.
I mean, we've seen it in his hand, but never played.
Exactly.
Which means that maybe Kolento didn't get to see it when he was scouting. There's that chance always. Wow, double Armor Smith, the value. Incredible. Did we miss something? Does Kolento have like a third patron that we missed? Because he seems to be like playing this as though it's going somewhere, and I'm not too sure if it really is.
I think there's a Deathwing somewhere, just a cheeky Deathwing.
Oh man, Deathwing Tron, new deck.
More card draw. Let's see if he can find anything.
This is Kolento at work.
Definitely.
Just making sure the Twitch chat right now is literally resident sleeping. This is. I mean, even the caster is a resident sleeping right now.
Hey, StanCifka, if you want to win, you're going to have to earn it.
Yeah, you're going to have to win. You're going to have to stay awake through the night. You want to take this win? You better deserve it. I don't give them away.
I think it's a good decision from Kolento not conceding just yet.
The double brawl is finally revealed. We see the second copy. So we know for sure that StanCifka is in fact running that.
But it's not going to matter.
Yeah, but at least we know. For all it's worth. It's worth like 5 mana.
I mean, even if he is going for information, this warrior potentially just wins, right? And what he's never going to play. Well, he could play him in the finals day, I suppose. So I guess revealing information for the finals day is a good shout as well.
Kolento he just wants to see cards from StanCifka's deck so he can scout them later.
Yeah.
Right. Just scout them for later so that he's guaranteed to know in the finals, which is a long ways away for him at this point. Oh, never mind.
He's seen enough.
You think I don't know your control wireless? I made that deck. And StanCifka is going to just take the win with the control warrior against Patron. Kolento will get to replay the Patron warrior deck, and StanCifka is attacking these oranges like they're literally the best thing in the world. They are.
He's betrayed Mukla.
I mean, what is that, though? We don't have, like, a citrus-eating character, right?
Well, there's Orange the player.
Oh, man. Meta-ing the metagame. So, Kolento going back to Patron here, going to face off against the Handlock from StanCifka. Again, the only player who brought the deck to the event. he's been targeting Patron. It's been very obvious, and I think it's definitely working out for him here. This should be, again, a favorable matchup.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Patron definitely has what it needs to win a good Frothing turn. Can definitely seal the deal, but like we said, on paper, Handlock has the advantage. Not much, maybe like 60-40 if you go by results in competitive play.
Yeah, at the very high level, because on ladder it seems like Patron is not performing. You know, people will say Patron is not that good. I'm not getting the results that people tell me I should be getting. It's a very complex deck to play, but in tournaments, definitely, once you get down to it, it's 60-40 for the Handlock.
Because these players who play Patron like Kolento, Life Coach, they've invested incredible amounts of time and energy into learning everything about the deck, experiencing situations, because there are a lot of different situations you get with this deck, which you need to understand what you need to play and how to play that turn. And the more you experience these situations in these turns, the more it becomes second nature in the tournament where I go, right, I've seen this before in practice. I did this, it didn't work, but in another game I did this and it worked pretty well. So I'm going to do this decision instead of that decision because that decision worked in practice.
In practice, yeah.
So, and it takes a lot of that.
It's interesting because StanCifka was telling me about his own practice runs with Life Coach. He was telling me Life Coach was challenged, I think, by Neria. Neria was challenged Life Coach to a match between a Freeze Mage with Duplicate, if I'm not mistaken, versus Patron. And Life Coach was flabbergasted, and Neria thought it had an advantage, like statistically, and Life Coach, to make sure he didn't look like an idiot after making that bet, forced StanCifka to practice for hours. And StanCifka was like, yeah, okay, I get it. Like, you just, it's one deck, one challenge, but everything matters.
Was it like a best of 15 or something ridiculous?
It was something ridiculous, but it was glorious.
It just shows like the dedication of these players, of understanding matchups, and from Neria's perspective, a Duplicate was enough to tilt the matchup in his favor.
Yeah, I think Life Coach still ended up like winning overall, but he needed practice to get it down.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because what is StanCifka running in his mage deck? Duplicates. And what did he beat? Patron.
Patron, exactly.
Interesting. Anyway, back to this game.
It's just that there's really not much to talk about when you're looking at hands that tend to play themselves in the early game, and StanCifka is just drinking water and an energy drink and taunting Kolento. We can talk about that if you'd like.
Kolento looks very composed. Well, he did look composed until he started going, what do I do?
I like StanCifka's hand a lot, though. Like I say, he didn't have really much to play, but it's false. He did have the option of silencing the Owl if he wanted to. It's not silencing the Ancient Watcher, that is, if he wanted to. Not something he needs to do, but something he can do.
For sure, and it could be giant time now if he feels like it. But
I like this play from Kolento, though. Like, it's really forcing StanCifka in a position where he's very vulnerable to the Ghoul and an Execute played together.
I think, I'm not sure what you do for StanCifka here. Did you just go for the Giant?
Silence the Ghoul.
Silence the Ghoul?
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense.
I think the
Giant's just okay. It's okay just because it's, like, you know Kolento's game plan involves killing your Giant. But that's fine. That's a risk you can take because you've got the Emperor Thorson, because you've got the Mal'Ganis like for later. So technically, even if he gets his game plan through now, your game plan extends beyond his. You think you can win the long game, and as a result of that, giving him the Execute here is really not something you're too worried about.
So something Kolento could do here, he's really ballsy. He could actually just tank the Giant with a weapon, then Battle Rage, and try and find some other things other than the Execute, so he can hold on to that Execute for a Taunter. So if he finds like a Slam,
I love that play.
He's got enough damage to kind of like push through, but it's quite a ballsy play, I think.
What about Grim Patron, and then you use the Ghoul with the weapon for 6 damage on the Giant, then use the 1/4, and you have like 1,000 Patrons on the board. Is that ever worth it?
Potentially, but Hellfire exploits it super hard.
Exactly. That's the biggest weakness of that kind of play. He is going to go for the Battle Rage you spoke of, though, and I think right now it's his best bet. He gets a little bit of armor on the back of that.
He can just use the Whirlwind here, actually, to clear. So he gets a lot of cards. He has to throw away a Whirlwind, but he doesn't really use his Execute, which is the super important thing here, because he needs them for the taunts.
He might not even have to Whirlwind, because the Ghoul will kill off the Giant anyway.
Oh, that's true, of course. And unless the silence comes down, oh.
The dreaded Hoot Hoot.
Hoot Hoot indeed. Yeah.
StanCifka with a... Yeah, he's got the Owl option. I'm not sure it's worth it at this stage. It feels mediocre. However, the Emperor Thorson does look very appealing. You've seen one of the Death Spite, so you expect your opponent to have to use either the second one or a mix of, Slam, Fiery War Axe, and Execute perhaps on the Emperor Thorson. So you're okay with that.
So, Execute is still there. No Death Spite. He's got Slam. He's got a way to clear this just with Fiery War Axe and Slam alone.
Exactly.
And he's quite healthy, I suppose, as well, especially because considering StanCifka's board will be reset and you have to start building on it again. So, I think it's fine. You can Slam first, just cycle through, and then if you get a Death Spite, that's pretty good too. So, we'll see what yeah, it's just Fiery War Axe. That's fine.
Alright, so far fairly typical from both these players. StanCifka, with a really cheap Drake, is going to be getting himself a really big minion that I think Kolento might be forced to execute. One thing to note, though, about executes in this matchup is that you really want to keep them not for big minions, but for minions that are taunted when you're going for the kill. It's not so much the big minions that worry you as much as it is the ones that have taunt on them. And keeping the execute for that is worth a lot more than just killing a big Drake, even though it's a 4-9.
Speaking of taunts, StanCifka is missing Arguses and Sunfuries at the moment. I think the Void Caller is a good pickup here because obviously the demons in his hand, good at interaction there. But being able to find those taunters will be super important because he needs to be able to stop, especially after Thorson comes down, a potential swing turn which can kill a Handlock. As he's tapping away and making himself lower, Frovin, it becomes super scary.
Yeah, Kolento here with the Thorson, it gives him a really good turn if he wants to go for the execute, right? You just go Thorson, you attack into the 4-9 and execute. It saves it from a Mortal Coil. You're forcing your opponent to have a mix of Dark Bombs, perhaps, a Hellfire Dark Bomb, something really fancy to finish off Thorson. And in that case, if the Thorson sticks, and you get to play something like Acolyte of Pain and draw cards on the back of it, it's going to be a complete blowout. But StanCifka's got the answers.
Yeah, for sure. That was a good play from Kolento, and he's hit some important cards. Double 0-mana Whirlwinds is excellent, especially now because even though the Warsong wasn't hit, later turns, the Frovin and the Patron are cheap enough, and 0-mana Whirlwinds, of course, is going to create enough of a board to make these that one Frovin hit really hard.
Yeah, and Molten Giants typically don't come down unless you let them, and so you can just OTK your opponent. Literally, in one turn, there's really no threshold that Warlock hits where he can play the Giants without dying. Just, you kill him from 20 health, that's it. There's no Giants ever showing up, and with one Mountain out of the way, one Twilight Drake, there's not much left for StanCifka to put down.
So we could potentially just keep him at 20 health if you wanted to. So you don't see the Moltens. And now he's hit Patron as well as the Whirlwinds. The Patrons with the Warsong get to attack as well. So so there's a lot of damage built up, but from just the Frovin alone. But the Patrons do work as well, and he'll have at least 4 Patrons. So he has 12 damage from Patrons with just 2 Whirlwinds. So it's a lot of damage, all in all.
And StanCifka did not discard anything crucial from the Doomguard. We saw a Shadow Flame go and an Ironbeak Owl again. He doesn't need those too much. A Shadow Flame would have been very helpful, considering he doesn't have the Hellfire with him just yet, and Kolento's going to be drawing a few cards. StanCifka is still looking for some kind of big threat that's going to put Kolento on the back foot, but that's not there yet. I mean, the Fiery War Axe shield block, that looks gorgeous.
The one thing Kolento could fall short on here is drawing Warsong. If Warsongs are in his last couple of cards of his deck and he doesn't get there, he could just not win because he just didn't draw the Warsong. And I've seen that in quite a few games I've casted where the Patron player doesn't draw a Warsong, he has everything else he needs, but he doesn't have to charge. And that could be crucial.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that StanCifka's worried about at the moment is definitely that Emperor. He saw it fall down. He has no idea that the Warsong wasn't hit. So just the fact that the threat of what could be in Kolento's hand is enough to maybe make StanCifka play. It's going to warp his play, definitely. Like, put it maybe towards more of the defensive side and allow Kolento to capitalize on it.
That's a really important pickup there. The Argus, he was missing the taunt activators before, but now he has them. He can develop the Void Caller, which has a really good target for the Mal'Ganis. Next turn, Twilight Drake into Argus on the Void Caller and the Drake, if the Void Caller survives, makes a big taunt wall, and also it could drop the Mal'Ganis and give him immunity. So some strong things going forward for StanCifka here.
Kolento still doesn't have his execute, not the second one at least. He used the first one on the Drake. He's got the option of slamming for card draw on the Void card. What that gives him is the opportunity perhaps to find the execute. If Mal'Ganis comes out, you don't care. You Whirlwind with your Acolyte on the board. You're more than happy. Oh, he actually just goes for... Oh, wow. What a good play. What a good play from Kolento here. Drawing 2 cards instead. Maximizes the potential to find what he's looking for.
Double Throbbing and an X2 and a Warsong. He found everything he needed then. So Kolento is very close in the next 1 or 2 turns to finishing this game off.
I think it might be over next turn actually if you look at it, because the Acolyte of Pain here can just make a quick trade if it wants. I would suppose that by leaving the Void Caller up, you're forcing StanCifka in a position where it can't get popped and summon Mal'Ganis. So if he wants to play Mal'Ganis, it's going to be from hand. If he wants to taunt up, that's going to cost a lot of mana. If he wants to heal up, you can probably still kill him through the heal bot. So Kolento here, I think, is in a very, very good position. Next turn looks like if there's no taunts coming, it's going to be over.
And here we go. This is it. This is StanCifka's last line of defense here, potentially. But double, this is so much going on for Kolento in his hand there. Dealing with the Mal'Ganis might prove troublesome, but I don't think so. I think Kolento probably has this.
I mean, the execute really makes this a lot easier, but it doesn't guarantee the win. It's just that by going Warsong with the patrons, like the first way, like with the second Warsong, you could even escalate this over multiple turns if you really want to, because you can't play both Frothings at the moment.
So he's going to gain, from his first Whirlwind effect, he's going to gain 8 attack on the Froth, and he gains +1 attack on from the inner rage just from that. So this trade goes in, so that's another +1. So it goes to the 7. So he's going to get 7 off his first Whirlwind, generates 2 more patrons, and he's going to get 9. And this just, wow,
it's just a matter. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. He's got overkill. He can the second Whirlwind and the inner rage really seal this.
Just crazy amounts of damage, and all these patrons can attack as well. And this is, I think this is what Blizzard are afraid of with this deck. let's be honest.
Right. This is pretty much what Blizzard was. This is what they were nerfing when they changed the Warsong. It's not the fact that patrons are awesome, because patrons are awesome. They're kind of a cool card mechanically. Like I was really excited when I saw the deck initially. But the more you see it, and you see these kinds of plays being made, it takes a lot of skill and a lot of good decision-making to get there, but there's no counterplay really from StanCifka. There was really nothing he could do. Even if he'd healed up with the heal bot here, what did it matter?
So, it's just too much. I mean, so much damage from hand is ridiculous. So, yeah, the favorable quote-unquote matchup for the Handlock falls short to Patron once again in competitive play, as I see so often.
But you know what's really awesome though is that now StanCifka will not have to play against it again. You know, even when you build a lineup against Patron, and this is one of the reproaches I guess that people had against the deck, is even when you build a deck that's meant to beat Patron, it's still not going to beat it often enough to really justify building an entire lineup around it. So I think overall, even if StanCifka is unhappy about the loss, it's fine, because you expect Patron to at least win one match at some point.
And he got 1 game off the Patron, at least. So, you know, he went 1 for 1. You know, that's fine.
It evens out. And with the Mage from Kolento and the Paladin left, StanCifka still has matchups that he can handle. You know, he can play the anti-aggression game fairly effectively.
So Tempo Mage is a deck that's picked up in a lot of popularity because of this ban format, I think, but also because of NA's kind of exposing the deck. A lot of variations. Nias had a very different deck to Hot Form had a very different deck to Jab. There were a lot of different kind of little tweaks that kind of made their decks their own. And Nias even went as far to say that he thinks that Tempo Mage does pretty good against Handlock. He's quite happy because you put enough pressure onto them where they're in Fireball range or Fireball Frostbolt range that you can just burst them from hand. So we'll just see how Kolento manages this matchup.
Yeah, it was very like Tempo Mage reminds me of the old Aggro Mage, except it's a lot better than it used to be. In that it's a lot more consistent. It's not playing aggressive as much as it is playing on tempo, as its name indicates. What's interesting about against Handlock is that it seems like the burn should help you out a lot more than it actually does. Like, very often you end up with those Fireballs or Frostbolts, which, yes, are your win condition, but sometimes it comes down to top decking them, and that always feels awful. But Mirror Entity, very strong card against Handlock when they don't hit the perfect Ancient Watcher or Iron Beak Owl. Later in the game, it's just complete blowout.
I've seen this really good play where you play Spell Sling it into Tracking into Fireball.
That is excellent. Man, that is an excellent play there. We saw that from Jab, I think. The Pioneer.
Yeah, he's
the tracking into fireball play from spells. I mean, that was a really innovative play, definitely.
Definitely. I'd never thought of doing that myself, but, you know, Jab, you know, good player.
That is why they're there and we're here, right?
Right, for sure.
That is why.
So what Kolento is going to want to do is put enough pressure on him. Maybe just... I mean, with Tempo Mage, you kind of have to just go for it. You can't always you can play around Molten Giants to an extent. You can get them to kind of like, when it depends on their mana count, you can kind of play around the Giants and then just push for lethal. But sometimes you just have to go for it and just hope they don't have it and just finish them off. So there's a lot of kind of high risk, high reward kind of it's kind of all in sometimes.
Right, and I feel like Tempo Mage, and that's the reason why, you know, Tice, for one, doesn't like it, is that it's a deck that goes all in a lot more often than other ones. And Tice is not a player necessarily that wants to make those kind of calls. It fits certain players a lot more than others. Some people are very risk averse, right? They just don't like playing the risky stuff. I don't imagine StanCifka playing Tempo Mage. It just doesn't seem to fit like a playstyle he'd be good with, or at least, you know, happy with. Whereas somebody like Kolento can play just about anything. Dog likes it a lot. Jab, of course, loved it.
I don't think I've ever seen Kolento play Tempo Mage.
Kolento tends to favor whatever's good. That's kind of the way he plays these things. Like, I'll just take whatever's good and I'll win with it. And Kolento's also at a point now where he can take decks that are working, like at the high level, and he just tweaks them to completely optimize them. You know, he was saying in the interview, I don't think anything new can really be made. And what he means by that is you just take a deck and you modify it, and that's effectively as good, if not better, than trying to create something from scratch.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty harsh to say that no new decks can come out, but I think what he means, I think, is on a competitive level, there's stuff that's tried and tested. You might as well use that and and tweak it to how you feel will make it better. And that's what he does here. Like you said, he takes these decks that exist, they've tested, they've proven, and then he makes them his own.
Alright, so Kolento here with a forced fireball on the Drake. That's okay. StanCifka's now resting a little bit easier, knowing that there's no fireball coming his way anytime soon, based on the odds of it happening. Now, what do? Do you just play the Void Caller because the Doom Guard's free?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, once you've seen that fireball, like I said, you can wipe the sweat off his forehead and to be like, okay, I can relax just a little bit. I can maybe play just a little bit slower and get some value from this Void Caller.
Now we have to know, Kolento is playing a duplicate in this deck, I remember. Tice played against him earlier and was very surprised by the duplicates. So Kolento here could go for a Mana Worm Mirror Entity, trade the Mad Scientist away, get himself both the Mirror Entity and the duplicate if he wants. But that's going to, of course, be a very risky play, because if the Doom Guard comes out and you can't answer it, that's a bit problematic.
And, you know, Void Caller is super powerful mainly because... most players, you don't want to deal with anything that comes from it, really.
It's kind of a shredder sometimes, right? You fight off against a shredder, you think you should pop it, but you don't want to.
It's more of a super shredder.
Right, it's like a piloted, it's like Sneasel shredder, really.
Oh yeah, you get the value of Sneasel shredder, almost. Yeah. So here we go, so he takes him down to 15 on turn 6.
Rolling the dice, and it works, and he's going to be able to trade away the Scientist if he really wants to.
But this is it, he's going all in. This is what Tempo Mage really has to do sometimes. He just has to commit to it. And this just takes him out of Molten Giant anti-heal bot range, which is a shame for StanCifka. That would have been a really good play.
So there's a Mirror Entity on Kolento's side, which means StanCifka can't just drop a Molten Giant. He has to do a bit more. He has to play it a little bit safer than that. Now, there's the option, of course, of Healbot. Healbot seems safe to me, right? You play Healbot, you give him a 3/3. That's bad, but you heal for 8, and then you can kill the Flame Waker with your 5/7.
Oh yes, of course, is the secret. I forgot you played that. I was saying play the Molten Giant. No, don't listen to me.
Just like looks like a Shadow Flame then, if that's what he's going for. Go face and Shadow Flame?
Yeah, I think so. That way you clear the board.
Wait, what about Hellfire into Molten Giant? That wipes the board. And he gets nothing.
Takes you down to 9.
And you played the Giant for free.
Played the Giant for free. I guess the only issue is Fireball Frostbolt, but you've seen one Fireball, so I think it's worth the risk here.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think StanCifka, he goes for it. So by playing this, I think he's basically putting Kolento in a position where he has to have a very specific combination of cards, and with the Healbot, he feels very safe here. He feels just very safe.
Arcane Missiles, maybe it'll team this Doom Guard.
Yeah, I mean, no, Unstable Portal is actually a Deathwing. And the oh, you have got to be kidding me. That hurts.
That is crazy.
But
Such good RNG.
Healbot. Healbot's still a pretty good card. And with a Lothab as well, he can lock down turn 8 and play Jiraxis on 9, putting himself even safer.
He could yeah, you could actually just play Lothab if you wanted, because Frostbolt won't kill him. And then the Healbot has more of a swing then, because he has more stuff to trade with. But he looks like he's going to heal bot. Maybe locking him out later.
Like just playing Lothab on 8 guarantees that you get the Jiraxis very safely.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a lot better. All right.
All right, we're looking for an Alakir here for Kolento. Something like that. I mean, Alakir would almost not solve the issue. I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for, but it's definitely not an Archmage Antonidas with nothing else.
Well, he's got Intellect, he's got Cycle first if he chooses, or he could Unstable Portal and kind of see what that gives him. But there's a lot of good and bad options from that. Well, there's probably more bad options from Unstable Portal than good at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sure, you could get a crazy swing like a big game Hunter, but the odds of that, they're very slim. North Sea Kraken, but it's a bit, it's not enough mana to play it, but it would have been crazy.
North Sea Kraken 9/7.
Yeah.
With the stronger fire element effect.
You just kill that Molten Giant like it's nothing. And it's pretty thematic too, because the Kraken shoots water, right? Like it cools down the giant.
I don't think I've ever seen the animation, to be honest. All hit the
Imagine
same
like a really cool Blastoise.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, that's pretty much it. It's like a hydro pump. It's amazing.
That sounds pretty cool to me.
Yeah, it's more than cool.
But we need North Sea Kraken to be fighting Clockwork Giant.
Clockwork Giant,
for the
oh my
Pacific
god.
Rim battle, right?
Oh goodness.
All right, so StanCifka putting a lot of pressure here. 8-4, 8-8, and 3-1.
He's got lethal next turn. I mean, if the two giants live, even if the Healbot is dead, Jiraxis' weapon will take care of this. With Lothab to lock down spells, he's probably relatively safe. So Kolento needs to pray to RNGesus. Otherwise, he's just going to be doing, subpar, I want to say, Fireball, Kill Giant, ping the Healbot, let the 8-8 live. It just doesn't feel like something you want to do.
Oh, wow.
Wrathguard. Yeah,
that's awful.
That can't be good. That can't be good with 8-8s on the board.
No. It's not looking good. I think this is potentially over.
I mean, Wrathguard was put in the game to balance Paladin Shredder, Bane of Doom, and Unstable Portal all at the same time.
That's a pretty good decision, I think. Make some of the RNG swing more out of your favor.
Yeah.
I wonder if a design decision came there with future cards as well, when regarding stuff like Paladin Shredder.
Oh, for sure. Like, Paladin Shredder, maybe not so much, I'm not sure. But as far as Bane of Doom goes, definitely. The range of cards you can get from it are pretty slim, whereas, there's a lot of variants from the Shredder. So. Oh, whoa.
8 damage to the face.
Wait, was that a miss lethal?
No.
Okay, never mind.
The Wrathguard.
Oh, how did I miss that? Never mind. I was like, I turned my head around 1 second. I hear a minion dying. I'm like, wait, what?
What are you doing, Stan? What are you doing?
There we go. StanCifka takes a fancy lethal. And down goes Kolento. StanCifka is getting a second win up against one of the all-time best players in the world.
That's true. He has his Druid at the back, which could be his downfall going up against Tempo Mage and Secret Paladin.
Right.
Well, is it even Secret Paladin? Have we seen it from Kolento yet?
Yeah, it runs Secret Keepers. So it is Secret Paladin.
Yeah.
That's my assumption. The trophy there is standing between Kolento and StanCifka. StanCifka doesn't even care.
He just cares about his fruits.
Yeah, fruits and water. That's the life.
Stay recharged, stay healthy. That's StanCifka mod. Just stay healthy, guys.
Yeah, stay healthy, guys. Don't play decks that make you salty. Don't clog your arteries with all that plaque. It's not good.
Throws away everything. Wants to get that Aspirant just to be able to contest the board early. Shredder with Innovate and Keeper as well, so he has some good options here.
Yeah, to say the least. The Shade feels bad every single time because Flame Cannon really nullifies it drastically. However, there's the option to just wait one turn, of course, to always go for the Coin Shade, which gives you a turn 2 play. And to turn, as a follow-up, you can go for, turn 2, Innervate Shredder, into turn 3, just Shade on curve.
Yeah, you don't need to do anything just yet. I mean, just see what Kolento has, and then you can respond with the Keeper more than likely, because he's either going to play a Scientist or he's going to play a Sorcerer's Apprentice. And he can potentially silence this if he chooses.
I wouldn't dislike it, because you're guaranteed to play the Powdered Shredder right afterwards. There's a good argument to be made for doing exactly that. What else do you silence in that deck besides maybe a Powdered Shredder of from the Mage?
That's about it, really. Maybe an Antonidas if it comes to that. But no, an Antonidas is a winning play, right? So
let's hope you don't have to silence it, because that's a very desperate moment.
I think there's some merit to silencing it, because not only does it deal with... Because if he just hits it with the ping, he's going to get a Keeper of the Grove, so...
Right, the Choose One effect always happens before the Death Rattle. So in this case, before the minion comes on the board. So then the Death Rattle triggers, and then the Secret is summoned, and then the Keeper actually hits the board and is given to the Mage as a property. So silence looks like a very straightforward play.
Yeah, I like the silence, because even if he pinged it, and he doesn't mind the Keeper being copied, he thins his deck for one card. And him drawing it into the mirror entities are a lot worse than finding them for the Scientist.
Yeah, it's one of the worst things, actually. As Tempo Mage, drawing your secrets is which is why some people have been cutting, I would say, more than their fair share of secrets as a result of hating to draw them right off the top. It's kind of like, if Paladin didn't have Mysterious Challenger, would they play their secrets? And the general consensus is no.
No.
Right.
If history has taught us anything, Paladins don't play secrets without Challenger. Did they ever play them before?
No. I mean, the worst part is it looked so cool. When Avenge came out, you thought, yeah, I can play Redemption, Noble Sack, and Avenge, but it just never worked.
So the Flame Cannon hits the Keeper, which is not the ideal target. Hitting the Shade is so good because otherwise you wouldn't be able to deal with it. It just kind of sits there and grows and grows and grows. So now this actually could mean he can play a Shade if he wants. He could still coin out the Shredder because it gives a sticky minion to contest these two guys. But Shades are going to get a bit of value now, unless we see a second Flame Cannon come from Kolento.
Yeah, StanCifka playing the Shade here, I think he might end up using them as trading tools very early, or very soon, rather than keep them for later. But it's something that you'll never get the opportunity to do any earlier. And if you go for Shredder, like he's doing here, you're banking on your ability to force the opponent to trade away his minion, which, if he's got removal, he's not going to do. What that prevents, though, is if the opponent has his own Shredder, then he can't use spells to kill off your Shredder. I mean, in this case, Kolento has no problem with it, because he just goes Arcane Blast, Arcane Missiles, and then plays Shredder.
Yeah, he can play everything, just because of the Sorcerer's Apprentice, reducing his mana cost on those one-cost spells.
Yeah,
very important tool. For the
surrendered the ability to get himself a Loatheb on the coin if he wanted it, by not playing on Curve. And, those are not good hits.
But he gets the ping now, because he didn't play the Shredder.
Right.
So perhaps that's why he opted for the Worm over the Shredder, because the bills are 3-3 anyway, and if the missiles don't go his way, at least he can ping and get the clear.
And now StanCifka with only one option.
The good old Shade, but the Shade gets to trade into the Worm or the Sorcerer's Apprentice in the next coming turns.
It doesn't feel amazing, but it's the best you've got. You just take it and don't ask too many questions.
Minion after minion, Kolento's pressure on the board is quite relentless right now.
Yeah, that's how you win against Druid. You can't let them get the edge at any single point. Now, the Loatheb will give StanCifka, whenever he wants it, it will give him a little bit of breathing room, but if he plays it now, it's almost not going to do anything because the ping from Kolento with the Shredder will deal with it very easily. Don't even need any spells here.
He finds a Flame Waker. Not going to find much use yet.
Not a bad card to have, but without spells, those two Sorcerer's Apprentices with the Flame Waker don't accomplish much, besides, of course, putting a lot of pressure on StanCifka and forcing him to respond every single turn and play from behind.
Potentially, Kolento could just go on the aggressive here.
And just go full face. Play both minions, go face, let the Druid deal with this if he doesn't have swipe. And even if he does, even if he has swipe, how much can he really remove from this board to the point where I'm going to lose this over time?
You can swipe Wrath, which is the best thing that can happen for StanCifka. If he just has the swipe and hero power, it might not be enough. I mean, the Shredder still sticks around.
And then a Fireball might seal it.
Exactly, so there's a lot of directions. Kolento could keep fighting for board here if he chooses, and that could be fine too. but he is in top deck mode almost, because these minions will most likely come down. At least one of them. He's still kind of waiting for a fireball or something. I think if you're going to be I think he can take the initiative here. Oh, he could get use that next turn.
He gets a reason to ping every single turn now. This guy doesn't attack unless you ping. So, no Inspire, no attack. And Kolento is still able to put on pressure on StanCifka. I mean, StanCifka could go for the Tempo BGH, could go for the Shade of Nax. It looks to me like a decent play. If anything, you have to put something down.
The advantage of keeping one card in hand, like Kolento did, is you could just plant into your opponent's head. This is Frostbolt, this is Fireball, this is Lethal. So that's an advantage with him playing it this way as well.
I like it.
Speaking of Fireball.
Oh, is that game? Yeah, that looks like game. We're looking at 7 damage on the board with the Fireball. That is going to be it. He can just ping to finish off his opponent.
Yep.
Is he tunnel visioning?
I hope not.
It's been seen before. You know, when you just don't realize you actually have the lethal.
If he started tunnel visioning after what he said in the interview before, like, Kolento, listen to your own wise words.
You have to count the lethal. People make really stupid mistakes, but he doesn't make those. He just ends up getting the win. Right here, no real worries. I think for a moment that he's smiling. I think he realized, oh my god, I almost didn't count my damage.
I almost threw a fireball at Azudrake. That's not a good idea.
All right, so it will come down to the last game. It's actually a very tense series. They've been win one, lose one, win one, lose one for both players. Now, Secret Paladin versus Druid. You need to get some really unfair stuff as Druid to contest.
I mean, over today, we've had a lot of 3-1s and 3-0s.
Right. I
mean, we've had 4 3-1s, 2 3-0s, and only 1 3-2. So this going to a 3-2 really shows the skill level of these players, and that they can go back and forth, they can go neck to neck, and they can just, you know, really give a lost my words there. Give a good show.
Yeah, that's a good show. That's what you're looking for. So, I mean, looking at StanCifka's hand here, he's got the Innervate. That's definitely good. Harrison Jones on Life's Justice is absolutely crucial, or even on Coghammer. Pick one. It's up to you. All you're doing this for, you know, playing the Harrison Jones. On Innervate here, it makes sense just because you're able, you know, on turn 3 if Muster comes out, you go Innervate Harrison, you got yourself a great start.
And he finds the Aspirant as well, which is fantastic for StanCifka. Looking at Kolento's hand, he has a 1-drop, he has a 2-drop, he has a Curve, and he has a Challenger as well, going on 5 if he wants it.
Oh, StanCifka with a card that's going to come in very handy later. A lot of people would say that this matchup is nearly hopeless unless you've got the swipe.
And he finds it, luckily for him, and he has the Harrison as well for the Muster or the True Silver, whatever he wants to target. And very good for him.
Here a Wrath on the Juggler with a kill on the Argent Squire. Looks like a pretty comfortable turn 4 play for StanCifka.
Yeah, for sure. It clears the board, keeps his ramp as well, and forces Kolento to kind of have a response.
Yeah, I think what would change this is probably if he picks up something like Emperor Thorson or a Sylvanas, maybe. There's a chance that he ends up picking that up. So he goes for turn 6. You innervate it out on 6, and then you're fine.
Nice cozy little turn here for StanCifka. If he does go down the line of play, I mean, StanCifka has surprised me in this tournament already with some of his deck building choices, which I've really liked. So
right,
I would never be. It would never surprise me if he did a different play and it worked out.
Yeah, StanCifka's he knows what he's doing. I mean, he's been practicing a lot, and Tice also tells me that Druid is one of the easiest decks to tech because so many cards are obvious. But if you know what you're doing, sometimes you can actually figure out which one of these obvious cards right now is not needed in the metagame.
And yep, he goes for the clear like you just said. It's very clean, keeps the Aspirant out of muster range. He may have to throw a Coghammer or a True Silver, and if he does point at True Silver, Harry's going to have a very good time.
Yeah, the only drawback of playing for with Harrison Jones here, you want to do it, right? You want to play the True Silver champion, and on StanCifka's side, you'll want to play Harrison Jones. The big drawback is you're wasting one of your mana, because you will go down to 3 baseline from the Aspirant, then up to 4, so you will effectively turn your Innervate into a coin. But it's worth it against a deck like this one, where you absolutely need to have something on the board.
Because if he does coin True Silver now and he clears a minion and you do Harrison, you have initiative then, because you have the 5-4, he doesn't have the weapon to clean it up. But he actually just goes for the Light's Justice here. Swipe looks very tasty. Harrison looks even better.
Yeah,
so many cards.
And now another Innervate will allow him to play Swipe. I don't know if he's going to get it. It's kind of unlikely, but it's been seen before. Nope, not today. It will not happen. And now StanCifka, he got a decent array of minions here, to say the least.
And double shade once again. StanCifka just finds the ghosts keep coming to him. Like, I don't see a player have so many shades at once, other than StanCifka so far.
Yeah, I'm a little worried though for StanCifka's future when I look at the double mysterious challenger. It's like you have 2 Batman in your Gotham. It shouldn't happen.
Yeah, that shouldn't happen.
That
That's overpowered. That's super overpowered.
Oh man. So StanCifka here with the Shade of Nax, hero power to kill one of the 1/1s if he wants to. Shade looks appealing, but the Drake, but you're sacrificing it to the True Server champion. So maybe you just play it a little bit slower, wait to see what you can do, and maybe get yourself a Mysterious Challenger kill with the BGH after you trigger the Avenge.
Yeah, it's still back-to-back Mysterious Challenges. It's just brutal. But if anyone can deal with it, it's definitely StanCifka. He can find a way.
I mean, he does play BGH ×2, I think, in most of the decks that we've seen.
Yeah.
So if he does have a second copy of Big Game Hunter, that's going to give him another out. Of course, it's not over, because if Kolento, if the Noble Sacrifice ends up triggering and buffing the Challenger, then all BGH has to do is target that 6/6. StanCifka also has the option of going for a swipe to face, forcing the Avenge to be on the 6/6, right? And then just innervating out the BGH.
Oh yeah, that's really good as well.
And it will, redeem the 1/1, guaranteeing that he's not going to be in a bad spot afterwards.
Nah, this is tough. I mean, that's a very nice way of going about it. Redemption goes off as well on the 1/1, so you don't get a good redemption target. But then the second Mysterious Challenger comes down, and
yeah, I mean, if you're StanCifka here, the last thing you're playing around is probably the second copy of it, but it will be a big problem when it falls down, that's for sure.
you need to deal with what's happening now.
Yeah,
Forget the future.
There is no future with challengers around. That's what I've learned. If I don't deal with them now, that's pretty much it. And StanCifka is going to trigger the Noble Sacrifice with the Shade, set up, a Redemption Avenge to trigger right away, and it will not give him the BGH that he was looking for. But he can still use Force of Nature, one of them, to kill a 6/6.
That's true.
Or, swipe. That works too.
Yeah, he doesn't really care about this challenger at the moment. He is pretty healthy, though.
I mean, the competitive spirit will make it a BGH target by default. So
that's true.
Even if it doesn't eat up the Avenge and you can't kill it now, at least you can kill it afterwards, no matter what happens. But that second challenger, man, the Avenge is being picked up by Kolento, so he will not get the second one. Assuming he even goes for that. I mean, would you ever just go double Secret Keeper, Shielded Minibot, Avenge? It feels to me like 2 2/3s and a 2/2 with Divine Shield may be better.
Yeah, for sure against Druid.
Yeah.
Because you've just seen a Swipe, you've seen a Wrath, so that's 2 of the removals they have. No real hard removal for the Druid. It's very much damage based, and you can build up as much of the board as you want against Druid. There's no brawls, there's no Shadow Flames, there's nothing like that. So
not yet, that's for sure.
So that's potentially something he can do instead, or he could just go, well, none of your business again. Have another one.
Are you asking questions about what you should play? You shouldn't be doing that. That's dangerous.
7 to face. Who am I?
Kolento, the thing about this play is that it makes your current hand much better to curve. You just go on turn 7, double Secret Keeper, Minibot, Avenge Hero Power, and you just get a bit more stuff on the board, and you're playing on curve.
And after drawing an Avenge, he thins his deck out now, as far as I know, of all secrets. So all the draws from now on are better. So maybe he's just thinking about his future draws as well.
Yeah, so here StanCifka has the option of killing the 7/6, of course, triggering a Redemption if there is one, and the other Avenge, which he might be assuming right now is there. Force of Nature can trigger the Noble Sacrifice, but he'll discover that there is no second Avenge.
Yeah, you should be pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, Redemption triggering on this 2/1 is irrelevant. Then you get to kill it, and then you can kill the 7/6 with your big game opponent. Yeah, StanCifka waiting around, he's like, oh, there's no Avenge? Okay.
Good for me!
Yeah. I like that moment of waiting after the secrets trigger, you're like, is there another one coming up?
Why is it delayed? Where is it?
Yeah, what's happening here?
And Repentance hits a Big Game Hunter, which is really good as well. So if he does say find an Ancient of Lore in the next coming turns, it might be enough to kind of close out Kolento.
Oh, the Knife Jeweler here giving Kolento the ability not to lose that 6-4 to the 4-1 Big Game Hunter. And StanCifka was counting on that potential trade to happen. Oh goodness, that's a lot of stuff. So, I'm not sure how you do this, StanCifka, but if you can, hit me up. I need coaching.
Let me know. So we've seen 2 Noble Sacrifices, so he definitely knows they're gone. So if he does decide to Savage Raw, his Force of Nature here, he could clear the Mysterious Challenger and say the Knife Juggler, but if there's one secret left he hasn't seen, and last time, and that was Avenge, so he definitely knows that is an Avenge.
Yeah, he has, like, I wouldn't say perfect information because there's a chance that one of the secrets was, you know, somewhere in the deck is not one that is Avenge, but you would never play Secret Valley without Avenge. It's like, it's just not realistic.
Something to consider as well, if he does go for Force of Nature, for example, and he hits the Knife Juggler and the Avenge hits the Challenger, it's just game over. But if he clears the Challenger first, oh, he goes for the heal.
So wait, there's 9 damage on the board. I was calculating that. He's actually at 15 damage right now, right? 15. Now we're looking at another 2, so that's 17. That's game.
Oh, the top deck there, finding the card camera.
Yeah, it could have been Blessing of Kings, could have been Consecration, could have been many things, and I think Kolento is simply going to walk home with that win. Unless, of course, I miscalculated, which in this case I don't think I did. And let's see if Kolento is tunnel visioning or not. I don't think so. He always says, count your damage.
And he hits the Challenger as well.
Because why not?
So that's enough damage for Kolento to be able to close out this game, keeping his tournament life intact here.
Santa Claus, more like Batman.
2 Batmans, 1 Gotham. You're not going to win Joker.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That is not happening. So Kolento is still, you know, he's still in this. StanCifka is not going to get the near guaranteed pass to Sunday that he thought he would get.
So no partying for StanCifka just yet. Very close series. Kolento keeps his tournament life intact. He's not relying on other players to lose. I'm sure Kolento's pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, it looked almost, for him, it looked almost hopeless. So we'll see him talk with the interviewer and, yeah, get some of his thoughts.
This is your first win for today. Tell me, why do you think it was such a bad start for you?
RNG.
RNG?
Random, that's it.
Okay, and you both didn't ban Warrior. Why don't players, they don't afraid of him anymore?
Maybe I don't care about Control Warrior that much. Maybe I'm scared of his mage. Who knows? I do not tell.
Okay, this match was the last one for everyone. And what are you going to do next? Are you going to go to the hotel and just sleep, or maybe to celebrate the first day of the tournament?
I hope I'll go sleep into the hotel, yeah.
You're tired, yes?
Yeah, I'm tired.
Okay, then have a good night, and thank you. Now we'll go back to our casters.
What a guy! Why did you lose?
RNG, obviously. Why else would I lose?
Can you please elaborate? What is that? Yeah, that was actually beautiful.
Randomness?
Yeah, Kolento is probably the single most awkward person to interview because you don't have much to go on with. You know, he just kind of doesn't bounce back.
He poker faces as his interviewers.
Like, you can't even read him in an interview like, is this true? Is he trolling? And that's why when he pulls off a joke, like a practical joke on you, you don't see it. Like, you think what he's saying is actually true.
He's like the ultimate troll because you never expect it, right?
Exactly. He looks so stone-faced all the time. Anyway, what a guy. And he's now keeping himself alive in the tournament, at least by a bigger margin than he was earlier. When you lose 2 matches, you know, as a start, it's a little unfortunate. It's really difficult when there's only 5 matches to play to climb back up because you literally have to win your following 3 matches.
And going against StanCifka as your last game of the day, being 0-2 down, is really tough, especially with the performance he's put on right now. It was a really close game. Double back-to-back Mysterious Challenges definitely played a big part in the win for that. But Kolento, you know, like he said, randomness, RNG is part of the game. StanCifka is even admitted it as well. So I don't think StanCifka will take that loss too hard.
Not at all. No, I think he's going to be perfectly fine. So a quick recap of the first day, guys. So far we have Thijs and StanCifka at 2-1 respectively. Cypher is 1-2 and Kolento is 1-2. Orange and Dog both have only played 2 matches and are sitting at a 1-1 score. We'll see them play a little bit more today, tomorrow that is. We're going to start at the same time as we did today, which has been 4 p.m. CET, if you guys want to tune in. It's going to be kind of exciting to see how, we've only seen 2 matches from Orange and Dog, and see how they fare for their third match, because we already know the other guys. We need to see how they fare as soon as the halfway point is hit.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential for both those players to kind of swing the table in their favor. StanCifka has put on a fantastic performance today. He's at the top of the table, really shown some strong play, some strong decision-making, some strong deck building. Thijs as well, performing very well, considering he's European champion and riding on that kind of hot streak. Dog's sitting at the center of the table, he had a very good game against Kolento. 3-0, like something I didn't expect. Like I expected kind of a 3-2 from those guys, but Dog really showing us some strength there.
Yeah, I mean, Lord Walker Cho is, it turns out, pretty good. So this is going to be for tomorrow. We're going to have the schedule. We're going to have, this is for today, right? Yeah, Thijs versus StanCifka. This is not a schedule I got for tomorrow.
Yeah, this is a little bit different for us.
Oh, I think the ordering has been changed a little bit. Oh, never mind. The matches are getting played in a different order. It is for tomorrow, guys. Sorry about that. So this is the matches you're going to be getting tomorrow. We're going to have, pretty much the finish of the start of the group stage with the round robin. Then on the last day, we'll be moving on to the double elimination bracket. Only 4 players will go through. It's going to start at 4 p.m. CET tomorrow, same time as today, and we should have hopefully matches as good as they were today.
Oh yeah, we've had some excellent games today. So if you didn't catch all of the games, there'll be VODs, I expect, on their YouTube channel. StarLadder does keep that quite up to date, so be sure to check out them. And also be sure to check out their Twitter, just to keep in touch with what's going on at the event, what time the matches are coming from, and some cool stuff like photographs and kind of interaction with the players.
If you want to see us, disguise this night, there's plenty of photographs out there, and we look completely smart. I can guarantee you that. So guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the matches that we had. Tune in tomorrow, 4 p.m. We'll be right back. I think Aquablad, you'll still be with me.
I'll still be with you.
Yep. So we'll see you there, guys. Have a nice one.